You, black woman, get off that bench. A 58-year-old woman in a faded cardigan looks up. No jewelry, no phone, nothing that screams power. Sir, this bench holds memories for me. My late husband, I don't give a damn about your dead husband. Police Chief Douglas Vance steps closer, 4 stars gleaming. You see this badge? I run this city. Move. With respect, this is a public park. You people love that word, rights. Always playing victim. He looks her up and down like trash. Loitering, probably scouting for your dealer friends. Sir, I'm none of those. His palm cracks across her face. Glasses fly. Blood blooms on her lip. Know your place. She doesn't scream, touches the blood, looks at it, then looks at him with steady eyes. Not afraid, not broken, almost amused. He thinks he just put a nobody in her place. He has no idea he just slapped a state Supreme Court justice. And when he finds out, he won't just panic. He'll shatter. Let's go back. 30 minutes before, that satisfying crack echoed through Jefferson Memorial Park. Back to when 2 strangers existed in the same space without knowing. The other breathed the same morning air. The woman's name is Irene Patterson, 58 years old, black, sitting alone on a wooden bench in the heart of the state capitol. She wears a faded cardigan that's seen better decades, simple flats worn at the heels, no makeup, no designer handbag, no diamond catching sunlight, nothing that whispers wealth, nothing that hints at influence. She's feeding pigeons, tearing small pieces of bread from a brown paper bag, watching the birds gather at her feet like old friends. To anyone passing by, she looks like a grandmother killing time on a Saturday morning. Maybe lonely, maybe forgotten. The kind of person the world walks past without a second glance. The kind of person who becomes invisible after a certain age. But look closer. Watch her fingers trace the brass plaque bolted to the bench beside her. Read the words etched into the weathered metal. For William Patterson, who believed in justice. Her late husband. Civil rights attorney for 40 years. Dead 3 years now. Heart attack at his desk, fighting one last case he refused to abandon. This bench is her Saturday ritual, her private church, her place to sit with his memory and pretend for just an hour that he's still beside her. Now look across the park. A motorcade of black SUVs pulls into the parking lot. Police cruisers flank them like an honor guard. Officers pour out, setting up barriers, checking sight lines, waving civilians away from the center lawn. Police Chief Douglas Vance steps out of the lead vehicle, 52 years old, white, broad shoulders straining his dress uniform, 4 stars gleaming on his collar like tiny suns, a politician's smile plastered across his face. He's here for a photo opportunity, community outreach, proof that he cares about the people he serves. Good press before the governor's gala next week. His media team scans the park for the perfect backdrop. Trees, fountain, diverse families with smiling children. Wholesome, electable, promotable. Then someone spots the problem. An old black woman on a bench, shabby clothes, no company, right in the middle of their shot. Vance's aide leans in close and whispers, "Chief, the deputy mayor is watching from her car. She says make this look good. No mistakes today." He nods, adjusts his tie, squares his shoulders. 2 strangers, 1 park. Neither knows the other exists. But in the next 30 minutes, one of them will leave in handcuffs. The other will watch from a position of power she hasn't yet revealed. The cameras are rolling, the pigeons scatter, and somewhere, a clock starts ticking. 72 hours. That's all the time he has left. He just doesn't know it yet. Sergeant Dale Kessler approaches first. 38 years old, square jaw, cold eyes that have learned not to see too much, loyal to Vance like a dog chained to a post. He's the one who handles the dirty work, the complaints that need to disappear, The witnesses who need convincing. The quiet intimidation that keeps the machine running smooth. He stops in front of Irene's bench, plants his boots wide, casts his shadow across her lap like a warning. "Ma'am?" His voice is polite. Professional. The practiced tone cops use when witnesses might be recording. "We're conducting an official department event here today. I need you to relocate to another section of the park." Irene looks up slowly. Her face is calm, unhurried. Her hands stay folded in her lap like she's sitting in church. "Officer, I understand you have important work to do, but this particular bench is very special to me. It's my husband's memorial." She gestures to the brass plaque with gentle fingers. "I come here every Saturday morning. I'll just be a few more minutes, and then the bench is all yours." Kessler glances at the plaque. Doesn't read the words. Doesn't care what they say. Dead husbands and memorial benches aren't his problem. Clearing the shot for the chief's photo op is his problem. "Ma'am, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. The chief needs this entire area cleared, immediately." "And I'm not refusing to cooperate, officer. I'm simply requesting a few more minutes of patience." Her voice stays soft, measured, each word chosen with care. Surely the Millbrook Police Department can accommodate a grieving widow sitting quietly in a public space. Surely that's not too much to ask. Something flickers behind Kessler's eyes. Irritation. Confusion. This isn't how it usually goes. People move when he tells them to move, especially people who look like her. Old, black, poorly dressed, invisible. The kind who know their place without being told. This one doesn't seem to know hers. He walks back to Vance, leans in close so the microphones can't catch his words. "She won't budge, Chief. Says the bench is some kind of memorial for her dead husband. Wants a few more minutes to finish her little visit." Vance's jaw tightens. He checks his Rolex. The camera crew is waiting. The deputy mayor is watching from her tinted SUV, tapping her phone impatiently. 3 reporters are already setting up. He doesn't have time for some homeless-looking woman and her sob story. "I'll handle it myself." He strides across the grass, each step deliberate, heavy, confident. The walk of a man who owns every room he enters, who's never been told no and made it stick, who's spent 52 years bending the world to fit his shape. He stops directly in front of Irene, towers over her seated form. His shadow swallows her completely, blocks out the morning sun like an eclipse. "Ma'am." His voice drops an octave, authority dripping from every syllable. "I'm Police Chief Douglas Vance, and I'm telling you to leave this bench, right now. Not in a few minutes, now." Irene lifts her chin, meets his eyes without flinching, without shrinking, without giving an inch. "Chief Vance, I'm certainly aware of who you are, and I have great respect for your position and your service. But I also have a legal right to sit in a public park. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not disturbing anyone. I'm simply sitting quietly and remembering my late husband." "Legal right?" His voice turns cold, sharp, dangerous. "Let me educate you about rights. I decide who has rights in this city. I decide who belongs where. And right now, looking at you, I'm deciding that you don't belong here. Not on this bench, not in this park, not in my shot." "Sir, I've been coming to this same bench every Saturday morning for 3 years. I've never caused any trouble, never raised my voice, never bothered another soul. I'm simply asking for basic human courtesy. Just a few more minutes of peace." "Courtesy?" He laughs, short and sharp and ugly. "You want courtesy? Then show some respect first. When a police chief tells you to move, you move. That's how this works. That's how it's always worked." Around them, the park has gone quiet. Joggers slow their pace. Families pause mid-stride. A mother pulls her child closer and hurries away. A young man on a nearby path raises his phone slightly. Not obvious about it, just enough to capture what's happening. just enough to document. Officer Janelle Torres stands 20 feet away. 29 years old. Latina. Dark hair pulled back tight. First year on the force, still believing in the oath she swore. She watches the confrontation unfold with growing unease. Her right hand drifts up to touch her body cam. Confirms the red light is blinking. Confirms everything is recording. Something feels wrong. She can't name it, can't explain it. But the way this woman sits so still, the way she speaks so carefully, the way she refuses to shrink even with the chief looming over her. It doesn't fit the picture Vance is painting. It doesn't match the profile of a vagrant or a troublemaker. Irene remains seated. Her voice stays level as still water. Chief Vance, if you genuinely believe I'm breaking any law, I respectfully ask you to cite the specific statute. I'd very much like to know exactly which ordinance makes it illegal for a citizen to sit on a public bench in a public park. Vance's face reddens, blood rising, patience evaporating. He's not accustomed to being questioned. Not by his officers. Not by politicians. Not by the mayor himself. And certainly not by some old black woman in thrift store clothes who should be grateful he's even speaking to her. Statute? You want me to cite a statute? He steps closer, invading her space. Close enough that she can smell his expensive cologne mixed with the sour tang of his irritation. How about loitering? How about trespassing? How about suspicious behavior? How about I don't like the look of you and that's reason enough? Suspicious behavior? Irene tilts her head, just slightly, just enough. Suspicious how exactly? What about a woman feeding pigeons on a Saturday morning strikes you as suspicious, Chief Vance? The question hangs in the air between them. Simple, precise, devastating. Because he doesn't have an answer. There is no suspicious behavior. There is no crime. There is no law being broken. There's just a black woman who won't do what she's told. A black woman who talks back. A black woman who doesn't cower and shuffle and apologize for existing in his space. And for Douglas Vance, that's always been enough. It's always been reason enough. Justification enough. All the excuse he's ever needed. His hand shoots out, grabs her thin arm, yanks her forward hard enough that she nearly tumbles off the bench. I'm done talking. You're coming with me right now. Irene pulls back. Pure instinct. Self-preservation. Nothing aggressive. Nothing threatening. Just a woman trying not to fall. Trying to keep her balance. But Vance doesn't see that. Doesn't want to see it. He sees defiance. He sees disrespect. He sees everything he's been conditioned to hate. His palm cracks across her face. The sound echoes across the park like a gunshot. Sharp, final, irreversible. Like a door slamming shut on his entire future. Irene's glasses fly from her face, clatter against the concrete path. Her head snaps to the side. Blood splits her lower lip. Bright red against dark skin. Silence falls. Complete. Absolute. The whole park holds its breath. Torres stares. Her body cam captures everything. The slap. The blood. The look of satisfaction on Vance's face. The look of a man who enjoyed that. Who's done it before. Who believes he'll do it again. A jogger's phone keeps recording. A mother shields her child's eyes. An old man on a nearby bench shakes his head slowly. Irene straightens. Slowly. Painfully. She doesn't cry. She doesn't scream. She doesn't beg. She touches the blood on her lip with steady fingers. Looks at it. Studies it like evidence at a crime scene. Then she looks at Vance. And her eyes don't beg. They don't plead. They don't ask for mercy. They measure. They catalog. They file away. You're not the first, she says quietly. So quietly only he can hear. You won't be the last. Vance hears the words but doesn't understand them. He thinks she means abusers, violent men, bullies who've hurt her before. He doesn't know she means corrupt cops, crooked politicians, criminals in tailored suits who thought their titles made them untouchable. Men she's sentenced from a seat of power he can't even imagine. He has no idea who this woman truly is, what she truly is, what he's just done to his own life. But he will know, very soon. Torres watches Irene's face, that impossible calm, that unnerving stillness. Victims don't look like that. Victims cry, victims break, victims beg. This woman looks like she's been waiting for exactly this moment, like everything is proceeding according to her plan. Torres's gut screams at her. Something is very, very wrong here. She just doesn't know what. Not yet. Vance's brain finally catches up to his hand. The adrenaline fades. The red mist clears. Reality comes flooding in. He just slapped a woman. In broad daylight, in a public park, in front of joggers and families and God knows how many cell phones. Fight or flight kicks in. His survival instincts take over. And Douglas Vance has never been a man who runs from anything. He chooses cover-up. He's always been good at cover-ups. Kessler! His voice snaps like a whip. Sharp, commanding. The voice of a man who's done this before. Cuff her. Now. Resisting arrest, trespassing, disorderly conduct. Whatever sticks. Just get her out of my sight before this turns into a bigger scene. Kessler hesitates. Just half a second. His eyes dart to the watching crowd, the raised phones, the shocked faces. Chief, maybe we should slow down here. There are a lot of witnesses. Maybe we should just let her go with a warning and... Did I stutter, Sergeant? Vance's voice could cut glass. I gave you a direct order. Cuff her and get her into a patrol car, now, unless you want to join her in the back seat. Kessler moves, pulls the handcuffs from his belt, approaches Irene like she's a dangerous suspect instead of a 58-year-old woman with blood drying on her chin. Ma'am, turn around, hands behind your back. Irene rises slowly from the bench. Every movement dignified, controlled. She doesn't resist, doesn't protest, doesn't give them any excuse to escalate further. She simply turns, places her thin wrists together behind her back, and waits. The handcuffs click shut. Cold steel biting into warm skin. The sound of injustice made tangible, made real. She says nothing, but her eyes track everything. Every body cam, every cell phone, every witness who might remember this moment later. She's cataloging faces, memorizing details, building the foundation of a case in her mind the way she's built 1,000 cases before. On her left wrist, hidden beneath the frayed sleeve of her cardigan, a smartwatch vibrates silently. The screen flashes a message she can't see but knows is there. Missed check-in. Alert sent. Her office knows she's in trouble now. Her people are already mobilizing. The cavalry is saddling up. The clock just started ticking, but not for her. For them. Kessler guides her across the grass toward a waiting patrol car. His grip firm but not brutal. He's not cruel like Vance. He's just weak. Just obedient. Just a man who chose the path of least resistance 20 years ago and can't find his way back. He opens the back door, recites the fabricated charges in a flat monotone that suggests he doesn't believe a word. You're being detained for trespassing on public property, resisting a lawful order, and disorderly conduct in a public space. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The Miranda warning, a ritual, words that should mean something but so often don't. Irene listens without expression. She ducks her head and slides into the back seat. The vinyl is hot from the morning sun. The steel cage separating front from back gleams dully. The door slams shut behind her with the finality of a tomb ceiling. Through the window, she watches Vance smooth his uniform. watches him bark orders at his scattered media team, watches him transform back into the polished public servant he was 20 minutes ago, the mask sliding back into place. "Kill any footage your people got," he snaps at his aide. "All of it. Every angle. This incident never happened. We clear?" The aide nods frantically and scurries away. But Vance doesn't notice Officer Torres standing nearby. Doesn't see her body cam still blinking red. Doesn't realize that Kessler's camera captured everything too. That 3 bystanders have already uploaded video to the cloud. That a retired school teacher across the park is dialing 911 right now. You can't kill footage that's already breathing. You can't bury evidence that's already escaped. Torres approaches the patrol car, her conscience screaming at her, her training telling her to stay quiet. She peers through the window at Irene. Their eyes meet through the smudged glass. Irene's voice comes soft, meant only for her. Meant to plant a seed that might someday bloom. "You know this is wrong, officer. You know." Torres looks away, can't hold that steady gaze, can't face the truth staring back at her. But the words land. They burrow into her chest. They take root in her conscience like seeds in fertile soil. She steps back as the patrol car pulls away, watches it turn the corner. Watches it disappear with its precious cargo. Vance watches too. He exhales long and slow, rolls his thick neck. "Problem solved," he mutters to himself. "One less headache to deal with." He straightens his tie, signals his reassembled media team. Time to salvage what's left of this photo opportunity. Time to smile for the cameras. Time to pretend nothing happened. He's already forgotten her face. She's just another nobody who didn't know her place. Another problem handled. Another file closed. He's never been more wrong about anything in his entire life. Because in the back of that patrol car, Irene Patterson isn't panicking, isn't praying, isn't crying. She's planning. 15 years on the state Supreme Court. Hundreds of corrupt officials brought low. Thousands of cases decided. She knows exactly how this game is played. How evidence accumulates, how patterns emerge, how the truth always finds a way to surface. She could end this right now. One phone call, one reveal. Watch his confident face crumble to ash. But that's not justice. That's just revenge. And revenge is cheap. Revenge changes nothing. Justice requires process, documentation, patience. Justice requires letting the guilty dig their own graves deep enough that they can never climb out. So she waits. She watches. She lets them shovel dirt on their own coffins. The patrol car turns onto Main Street. The precinct is 10 minutes away, and somewhere across town, Raymond Brooks is already making phone calls, already pulling strings, already setting the trap. The wheels are turning. The net is tightening. The clock is ticking. 72 hours. And every passing second brings Douglas Vance closer to the end of everything he's ever known. Officer Janelle Torres cannot focus. She's back at the precinct, sitting at her cluttered desk, going through the motions of paperwork. But her mind keeps circling back to Jefferson Park like a dog returning to a wound it can't stop licking. "You know this is wrong, officer. You know." The words won't stop echoing, bouncing off the walls of her skull, rattling around her conscience like stones in an empty can. Something was deeply wrong about that woman. Torres has seen her share of arrests in her rookie year, seen how people react when the cuffs close around their wrists, the fear, the anger, the tears, the begging. This woman did none of that. She sat there calm as a Buddha while the chief of police screamed in her face. She looked at Vance like he was the one in trouble. She walked to that patrol car like she was heading to a business meeting. Victims don't behave that way. Criminals don't either. This woman measured, calculated, waited, like a chess player watching her opponent blunder into checkmate. Torres glances around the bullpen, everyone absorbed into their own work, no one paying attention to the rookie at the corner desk. She pulls up the booking database, types in the name from the arrest report. Irene Patterson. The search runs. Results populate. No criminal record. No outstanding warrants. No prior arrests. Not even a parking ticket. The system shows a complete ghost. A woman who's walked through 58 years of life without a single brush with law enforcement. That doesn't match Vance's story. Loitering, trespassing, suspicious behavior, casing the park for drug dealers. None of it adds up. None of it makes sense. Torres minimizes the database, opens a web browser, types the name into a search engine with trembling fingers. The results load instantly. Her blood turns to ice water in her veins. The first hit is a news article from 16 years ago. A photograph of a black woman in flowing judicial robes, her right hand raised, taking a solemn oath. A headline in bold capital letters: Justice Irene Patterson makes history, sworn in to state Supreme Court. Torres stares at the photograph. Same face, same calm eyes, same unshakable composure. 16 years younger, but unmistakably the same woman. She clicks the article, reads every word, then reads it again, then again, each time praying she's wrong, praying it's a coincidence. But the photograph doesn't lie. The face doesn't lie. The woman sitting in a holding cell 3 floors below right now. The woman Chief Vance slapped across the face in broad daylight. The woman he called a vagrant and a loiterer. State Supreme Court Justice. 15 years on the highest court in the state. Known nationally for her groundbreaking work on civil rights cases. Famous for her landmark rulings on police accountability. Police accountability. Torres feels her breakfast rising in her throat. She just stood there and watched the police chief of Millbrook physically assault a sitting state Supreme Court justice. Watched him fabricate charges. Watched him order the arrest. And her body cam recorded every damning second. Her mind races through the options. What does she do now? Who does she tell? Who can she possibly trust? If she goes to Lieutenant Davis, he'll bury it. Everyone knows Davis is Vance's man. Has been for 20 years. If she reports to Internal Affairs, they'll stall, delay, lose paperwork. They've done it before. 14 times before, according to the whispers in the locker room. But if she stays silent, she's part of it now. Part of the cover-up. Part of the crime. She thinks about why she joined the police force in the first place. Remembers the 8-year-old girl watching cop shows on her grandmother's couch. Believing officers were heroes. Believing the badge meant something noble. That little girl seems like a stranger now. Torres makes a decision. Her hands move before her brain can talk her out of it. She pulls up the body cam footage archive. Finds her recording from this morning. Clicks download. A prompt appears. Download to external device. She pulls a USB drive from her desk drawer. Her personal drive. Plugs it in. Clicks confirm. The progress bar crawls across the screen. 30 seconds. 40. The longest minute of her life. Download complete. She yanks out the USB, shoves it deep into her pocket, her heart hammering so loud she's certain everyone can hear it. Then something else catches her eye. A folder buried in the department's digital archive. Almost hidden. Easy to miss. Complaints. Vance. Douglas. Her finger hovers over the mouse, hesitates, then clicks. 14 files appear. 14 formal complaints filed against the chief over the past 8 years, all neatly organized, all carefully documented, all stamped, closed, insufficient evidence. She opens the first one. A black man named Jerome Williams, 42 years old, excessive force during a traffic stop, broken arm, 2 cracked ribs, case closed. The second. A Latina woman named Maria Gonzalez, 35, racial profiling, verbal abuse, called names too foul to repeat, case closed. The third. A black teenager named Deshaun Carter, 17 years old, unlawful detainment, held for 9 hours without charges, case closed. Torres scrolls through all 14, her stomach churning, her faith crumbling one file at a time. The pattern screams at her from the screen. Black and brown faces. Same types of allegations. Same excuses. Same outcome. Every single complaint buried. Sealed. Forgotten. This isn't a mistake. This isn't one bad day. This isn't one cop having a moment of weakness. This is a system. A pattern. A conspiracy of silence. She copies the complaint files to her USB drive. More evidence. More proof. Torres. She jumps in her seat. Minimizes the screen with shaking hands. Lieutenant Davis stands behind her desk. Vance's gatekeeper. The department's fixer. Sir. Her voice comes out steady. Barely. By some miracle. Heard there was some excitement at the park this morning. His flat eyes scan her face for cracks. Chief says everything's handled. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. Yes, sir. All handled. Just a minor disturbance. Good. He pauses, studies her. Anything else you want to share with me? Any concerns about what you witnessed? The USB drive burns against her thigh. One wrong word. One nervous twitch. No concerns, sir. Chief handled the situation by the book. Davis holds her gaze. 5 seconds. 10. Searching for lies. Then he nods slowly. Good girl. Keep it that way. He leans closer, drops his voice. People who make waves in this department tend to sink. They disappear from promotion lists. Sometimes they disappear from the force entirely. We understand each other? Perfectly, sir. He walks away. Heavy footsteps fading down the corridor. Torres finally exhales, her whole body trembling. She looks back at her computer screen, at the 14 closed files, at the name Irene Patterson still glowing in the search bar, a Supreme Court justice known for police accountability cases. 14 buried complaints against the chief, a brutal assault caught on camera, and a USB drive full of evidence burning a hole in her pocket. The pieces click together like a lock opening. Torres doesn't know exactly what comes next, doesn't know who to trust, doesn't know how this story ends. But she knows one thing with absolute certainty. She's not staying silent. Not this time. Not ever again. The chief has no idea what's coming. His own department just developed a fatal crack, and cracks have a way of spreading until entire buildings collapse. His own officer just became his destruction. She just needs to figure out how to light the fuse. Across town, a telephone rings in a corner office of the state capitol building. Raymond Brooks answers before the second ring finishes. 51 years old. Steel gray hair. Former federal prosecutor with a shark's instincts. Irene Patterson's assistant for the past decade. Justice Patterson's chambers. Mr. Brooks, this is the governor's office. We received your urgent inquiry. Is there something we should be concerned about? Justice Patterson missed her noon security check-in. Her smartwatch triggered an automatic alert 90 minutes ago. She's not answering her personal phone. Last known location was Jefferson Memorial Park. That's Chief Vance's territory. Silence stretches across the line. Have you contacted local police? That's precisely my concern. Given Justice Patterson's recent rulings on police misconduct cases, I thought it wise to explore other channels first. More silence. Then, keep us informed, Mr. Brooks. The governor will want to know the moment you locate her. Raymond hangs up, stares at his phone, makes another call. Internal Affairs Division? This is Raymond Brooks calling on behalf of State Supreme Court Justice Irene Patterson. I need to report potential irregularities involving body cam footage from Jefferson Memorial Park this morning. I'm formally requesting immediate preservation and review of all recordings from that location between 10 and 11 a.m. This is not a request. This is a demand from a sitting justice's office. He hangs up again, opens his contacts, scrolls until he finds the number he hoped he'd never dial. FBI Civil Rights Division. His finger hovers. Not yet. Give the system 2 hours. 2 hours to do the right thing. If Irene isn't released by then, he's going federal. And God help anyone standing in his way. Meanwhile, across the city, Deputy Mayor Carla Whitmore paces her corner office at City Hall like a caged animal. Her phone buzzes. Text from Vance. Situation handled. Minor disturbance with a vagrant. Nothing to worry about. She doesn't believe a word of it. She's survived 20 years in politics by never believing anything Douglas Vance tells her. She pulls up the park's security camera feeds on her laptop, rewinds to this morning, watches Vance approach the bench, watches the confrontation escalate, watches the slap. Her blood pressure spikes into dangerous territory. "You stupid, stupid man," she hisses at the screen. She grabs her phone, dials Vance directly. "Get to my office, right now. We need to discuss your definition of handled." 20 minutes later, Vance stands before her desk, still wearing that infuriating, confident smirk. "Carla, relax. It's completely under control. Just some homeless vagrant who got aggressive. I responded appropriately." "Did you hit her?" "She resisted. I subdued her, by the book." "On camera, Douglas. You hit her on camera, in front of witnesses with phones. The footage is being deleted as we speak. My people are on it." Whitmore stares at him, marvels at his bottomless stupidity. "The governor's gala is in 5 days. I need you pristine. No scandals, no surprises, no viral videos destroying your career and mine along with it." "There won't be any. Trust me." After he leaves, Whitmore unlocks a drawer in her desk, pulls out a thick folder she keeps for emergencies. 14 complaints, 14 cover-ups, her signature authorizing every single dismissal. If this explodes, it won't stop at Vance. It will reach her, the mayor, everyone who looked the other way. She feeds the folder into her shredder, watches the evidence become confetti. But in digital servers across the city, copies exist. Backups she'll never find, evidence that can't be destroyed with a desktop shredder and desperate prayers. The clock keeps ticking. The walls keep closing. And Douglas Vance walks out of City Hall whistling, absolutely certain he's untouchable. He doesn't feel the ground opening beneath his feet. Not yet. The interrogation room is a concrete box designed to break people. Gray walls, sweating condensation. Metal table bolted to the floor. 2 chairs facing each other. A camera mounted in the corner, red light blinking steadily. Irene Patterson sits on the hard chair, still handcuffed. Her faded cardigan is wrinkled now. The dried blood on her lip has turned rust brown. She hasn't asked for medical attention, hasn't demanded a phone call, hasn't spoken a single word since they processed her. She simply waits, patient as stone, still as deep water. The heavy door swings open. Chief Douglas Vance enters, alone. No lawyer present, no witnesses. He wanted to handle this personally, quietly. Close this file before it becomes a bigger headache. He settles into the opposite chair, leans back, studies her face like he's trying to solve a puzzle. "Look, lady." His voice has transformed. Warm now, reasonable, the good cop routine. "I think we got started on the wrong foot this morning. Emotions ran hot. Things escalated. Let's wipe the slate clean and find a way forward that works for everyone." Silence. "Here's what I'm offering. Simple deal. You sign a brief statement admitting you were trespassing and got a little resistant when asked to leave. We process you out tonight. You walk away. Go home. This whole unfortunate incident disappears like morning fog." Silence. "Come on now. Be reasonable. You don't want this dragging through the courts. Courts are expensive. Courts are slow. Courts have a way of digging up things everyone would rather stay buried." Irene finally speaks. Her voice is calm as a frozen lake, each word precise as a surgical instrument. "Chief Vance, I would like to know the specific statute I allegedly violated this morning." He blinks. Wasn't expecting that. "Excuse me?" "The statute. You've charged me with trespassing on public property. I'd like to know which specific section of the municipal code makes it illegal for a citizen to sit on a bench in a public park." Vance shifts his weight. He doesn't know the statute. Never needed to know. The charges have always just been words. Excuses. It's covered under municipal ordinances, loitering provisions. Look, the legal specifics aren't the point here. Which section specifically? I don't have it memorized. I see. And the resisting arrest charge. What specific action on my part constituted resistance? You pulled away when I attempted to escort you. I lost my balance when you grabbed my arm without warning. I was attempting not to fall. That constitutes criminal resistance? Vance's jaw muscles tighten. The friendly mask is cracking. Lady, I don't think you understand who you're dealing with. Chief Vance. Her voice cuts through. Quiet, but razor sharp. I'm curious about something. How many formal complaints have been filed against you during your tenure? And how many of those complaints received genuine independent investigation? He freezes, face flickering. Then the mask slams back down. I have no idea what you're referring to. 14 complaints, I believe, all closed. Insufficient evidence. She tilts her head slightly. Quite a remarkable track record. Vance's chair scrapes against the concrete floor as he stands abruptly. This interview is concluded. So soon? We were just beginning. We haven't even discussed the bodycam footage yet. Enjoy your cell. He strides toward the door, hand on the knob, then turns back. His face mottled red and white with fury. I don't know what angle you're playing, lady, but you picked the wrong opponent. I run this city. Irene's voice follows him out like a whisper from a grave. Perhaps you do. Or perhaps you've already lost everything, and you simply don't know it yet. The door slams hard enough to rattle the frame. Vance storms down the corridor, heart pounding, blood pressure spiking. Not from fear, from rage. Who the hell does she think she is? Some jailhouse lawyer? A professional activist fishing for a settlement? He's crushed people far more dangerous than her. He'll crush her too. But something gnaws at him. Something he can't name. The way she asked questions like she already knew all the answers. The way she looked at him like she was the predator and he was the prey. He pushes it down. She's nobody. A vagrant with attitude. By tomorrow, she'll be released and forgotten completely. He smooths his hair, straightens his tie, walks back toward his office with restored confidence. Behind him, in the interrogation room, Irene Patterson allows herself a small, private smile. The camera captures it. The red light blinks. He thinks he won this round. He has absolutely no idea what's about to hit him. The interrogation room door doesn't open. It explodes inward. Raymond Brooks strides through first, gray suit immaculate, eyes cold as Arctic ice. Behind him march 2 state troopers in full dress uniform, hands resting on holstered weapons, and a woman in a navy blazer, FBI credentials swinging from a lanyard around her neck. Vance is halfway down the corridor when he hears the commotion. Boots on concrete, authoritative voices that don't belong to his people. He spins, rushes back, bursts through the doorway ready to assert dominance. He finds Raymond already at Irene's side, already removing her handcuffs with a key the troopers provided, already helping her rise from that metal chair. What the hell is happening here? Vance's voice cracks, betrays him. This is my precinct, my facility, my prisoner. Who authorized this intrusion? Raymond turns slowly. His voice could freeze fire. Chief Vance, step away from Justice Patterson immediately. The words hit Vance's brain but refuse to compute. Justice. Patterson. 2 words that don't fit together. 2 words that make no earthly sense. Justice. What? Raymond's eyes bore into him without mercy. Justice. Irene Patterson. 15 years on the state Supreme Court. Author of Henderson v. State. champion of police accountability reform. He pauses, lets each word land like a hammer blow. You assaulted her on camera this morning, Chief. Your own department's cameras, in front of dozens of witnesses. The blood drains from Vance's face, white to gray to the color of old ash, the color of a man watching his own death approach. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. Nothing emerges. No words. No excuses. Just silence. He forces himself to look at Irene. Really look. Past the shabby cardigan, past the simple clothes, and finally sees the power he dismissed, the authority he mocked. The judge who's watched hundreds of corrupt men crumble before her bench. Irene adjusts her glasses slowly, the same glasses he slapped off her face hours ago. She straightens her cardigan, then fixes him with those calm, measuring eyes one final time. We'll speak again soon, Chief Vance, in a more appropriate setting, under very different circumstances. She turns, walks out, steady, unhurried, flanked by troopers and federal agents like the dignitary she always was, head high, dignity intact. Vance can't move. His legs have become concrete pillars. State Supreme Court Justice. He slapped a State Supreme Court Justice, across the face, in public, on camera, because she wouldn't vacate a park bench for his photo opportunity. The FBI agent steps forward, face expressionless, hand extended, palm up. Your badge, Chief Vance, your service weapon. You're suspended from duty, effective immediately, pending federal investigation. His hands tremble violently as he unpins the badge. 30 years on the force, 4 stars earned through decades of service. All of it gone, all of it ash. The badge drops into her waiting palm, and Douglas Vance finally understands. He didn't make a mistake this morning. He ended himself, completely, irreversibly, permanently. The press conference begins at precisely 6 p.m. FBI Civil Rights Division commands the stage. Their podium bears the weight of federal authority. American flags hang like judgment behind them. Camera flashes strobe like lightning. Reporters crush against barriers, shouting questions before anyone's spoken a word. The whole nation is watching. Special Agent Morrison approaches the microphone. Good evening. Earlier today, our office opened a federal civil rights investigation into Police Chief Douglas Vance of Millbrook and members of his department. The investigation stems from an incident this morning at Jefferson Memorial Park. She pauses, lets the silence build. At approximately 10:15 a.m., Chief Vance physically assaulted a citizen who was sitting peacefully on a public park bench. That citizen has now been identified as State Supreme Court Justice Irene Patterson. The room detonates. Shouts and gasps and questions hurled like grenades. Camera shutters firing in continuous bursts. Morrison raises one hand, waits for relative quiet. We will now present evidence collected over the past several hours. I must warn you, some of this material is deeply disturbing. The massive screen behind her flickers to life. Bodycam footage. Officer Torres's camera. Crystal clear. Every damning second preserved. Vance approaching the bench. Irene seated calmly. The confrontation building word by poisonous word. His hand grabbing her arm, her instinctive pull away. Then the slap. That crack echoes through the press room speakers. Irene's glasses flying, blood appearing on her lip. Then Vance's voice, captured with perfect clarity. Know your place. The footage continues. The handcuffs. The fabricated charges. Irene walking to the patrol car with her dignity intact. Silence holds the room when the video ends. A reporter finally manages. How was this footage obtained? We've heard Chief Vance ordered all recordings destroyed. Morrison nods. That brings me to our next witness. She gestures toward the side of the stage. A young woman steps forward. Latina. Dark hair pulled back. Patrol uniform pressed to perfection. Officer Janelle Torres. Officer Torres was present during this morning's incident. When she discovered the victim's true identity and the systematic attempts to destroy evidence, she made a choice that took extraordinary courage. Torres approaches a second microphone. Her voice wavers for the first sentence, then finds steel. I joined the Millbrook Police Department to protect people. All people. When I witnessed what happened in that park this morning, when I discovered who was sitting in our holding cell, when I watched my superiors scrambling to destroy evidence, I knew I couldn't stay silent. She raises a small USB drive. This drive contains the complete bodycam footage from this morning's incident. I copied it personally before they could erase it. She hands the drive to Agent Morrison. The bodycam footage is not our only evidence, Morrison continues. We have obtained recordings from multiple independent sources. The screen shifts. New videos appear. The jogger's cell phone recording. 8 million views in 6 hours. #Justice for Irene trending #1 worldwide. 3 additional witness recordings. Different phones, different angles, all showing the same undeniable truth. Then the 911 audio plays. A woman's trembling voice. Dorothy Williams, retired school teacher. Hello? I need to report something terrible. A police officer just struck a woman, an older black woman who was just sitting on a bench. He hit her across the face. She's bleeding now. Please send someone who can help her. Layer after layer, angle after angle, nowhere left to hide. Additionally, Morrison announces, her voice hardening, our investigation has uncovered a systematic pattern of abuse that extends far beyond this single incident. New documents fill the screen. Official complaint files, 14 of them. Over the past 8 years, 14 formal complaints were filed against Chief Vance. Every single one alleged excessive force, racial profiling, illegal detention, or civil rights violations. Every single complainant was a black or Latino citizen of Millbrook. She pauses. And every single complaint was closed without meaningful investigation. Marked insufficient evidence or unfounded. Buried. Photographs materialize on the screen. 14 faces, 14 names, 14 human beings who tried to be heard and were systematically silenced. We have obtained internal communications proving these complaints were deliberately suppressed at the direction of senior city officials. The screen changes to an email chain. Key passages highlighted. From Deputy Mayor Carla Whitmore. Subject, Vance complaint files. Seal these files immediately. Mark them insufficient evidence. I don't care what the actual evidence shows. Protect the chief. Protect the department. Protect me. Gasps sweep through the press corps. Deputy Mayor Carla Whitmore submitted her resignation 45 minutes ago. She is currently under federal investigation for obstruction of justice and conspiracy to violate civil rights. Morrison steps aside. Justice Irene Patterson approaches the podium. She wears elegant black now. Professional, dignified. The faded cardigan is gone. The blood is cleaned away. But her face carries the same unshakable calm. Every camera focuses. Millions hold their breath. This morning, I visited a bench in Jefferson Memorial Park, a bench dedicated to my late husband, William Patterson, who spent 40 years of his life fighting for equal justice under law. Her voice doesn't waver. That bench is where I go to remember him, to honor the work he dedicated his life to completing. She pauses. Instead of peace, I found hostility. Instead of respect, I received insults. Instead of protection from those sworn to serve, I was physically assaulted, called names, handcuffed, detained, locked in a cell with blood drying on my face. Her eyes find the camera. I am a state Supreme Court justice. I have resources most people can only dream of. I have connections, power, protection. Her voice strengthens. And even I was not safe. Even I could not escape this treatment. She gestures at the 14 faces still displayed on the screen. So I ask you, if this could happen to me, what happens to those without power? What happens to the single mother working double shifts who can't afford to take time off to file a complaint? What happens to the teenager walking home from practice? What happens to the grandfather just trying to sit peacefully in a park? Her voice drops lower. For 8 years, these 14 people tried to speak. For 8 years, they were silenced. Their complaints were buried. Their pain was dismissed. Her eyes blaze. That ends today. That ends now. That ends forever. She looks directly into every camera. I was treated the way thousands of Americans are treated every single day. The only difference is that I happen to have the power to make someone listen. Most victims don't have that power. That has to change. And I will spend whatever years remain to me ensuring that it does. The press room erupts into thunderous applause, but Irene doesn't smile. She simply steps back with the same grace she showed on that park bench. This was never about revenge. Justice. Real justice. The kind that doesn't ask about your title or your clothes or your ancestry. The kind William spent 40 years fighting for. In a holding cell across the city, Douglas Vance watches his destruction unfold on a small television. His lawyer sits beside him, gray-faced, defeated. Doug, there's nothing to be done. Federal civil rights charges. Assault on a public official. Falsifying records. Obstruction. They have everything. Vance stares at the screen, at Irene's face. The woman he dismissed as nobody. The woman who just dismantled his entire existence without ever raising her voice. She was never the victim. She was the trap, perfectly baited, perfectly patient, and he stumbled into it with his eyes wide open. His mugshot fills the screen. Shash. Justice for Irene. Know your place. 14 silenced voices. His legacy, rewritten in shame. His career, erased. His freedom, forfeit. The cell door clangs behind him. Cold. Final. Permanent. 6 weeks later. Federal Courthouse. Downtown Millbrook. The steps overflow with citizens holding signs, chanting names. 14 names. Finally spoken aloud. Finally honored. Inside the wood-paneled courtroom, Douglas Vance stands before a federal judge. Charges are read aloud. Each one a nail in his coffin. Federal civil rights violations. Assault on a citizen. Assault on a sitting judge. Falsifying official records. Obstruction of justice. Conspiracy. Vance pleads guilty to every count. His attorney begged him to take the deal. The evidence was overwhelming. A trial would only multiply the humiliation. The judge's voice fills the chamber. Mr. Vance, you swore an oath when you accepted that badge. An oath to protect and serve every citizen equally. You betrayed that oath. You weaponized your authority against the vulnerable. You silenced those who tried to speak. You corrupted the very institution you were sworn to defend. Vance studies the floor. 4 stars gone. Everything gone. I sentence you to 8 years in federal prison. No possibility of early parole. The gavel falls like a thunderclap. Officers lead Vance away in handcuffs. The same cold steel he locked around Irene's wrists. Poetic justice made tangible. Outside, the crowd's cheers carry no celebration. Only relief. Only hope. Only the sound of a system finally bending toward fairness. Sergeant Dale Kessler received 3 years for his cooperation. His testimony exposed the machinery of corruption. Deputy Mayor Carla Whitmore awaits her own trial. A career built on buried complaints now collapsing. The entire Millbrook Police Department operates under federal oversight now. Every historical complaint reopened. Every buried case reviewed. Officer Janelle Torres stands on the courthouse steps, cameras surrounding her. She's been promoted, head of the newly created Internal Affairs Reform Unit. Her mission: rebuild the complaint system from scratch. Ensure no voice gets ignored. No file gets buried. A reporter calls out, "Officer Torres, any regrets about coming forward?" Torres shakes her head, smiles for the first time in weeks. "Regrets? I finally slept through the night after I handed over that USB drive. I joined the police force to protect people. All people. That's exactly what I did. Finally." Later that evening, Torres visits Irene at her modest home. Books crowd every surface. Photographs of William watch from every wall. They sit together in the garden as sunset paints the sky orange and gold. "I needed to thank you," Torres says softly, "for what you said through that car window. Those words wouldn't let me go, made me act." Irene smiles with genuine warmth. "Don't thank me. You did this, Janelle. You made the choice the moment you copied that footage, the moment you refused to look away. That courage was all yours." "I almost didn't. Almost deleted everything, almost walked away." "But you didn't. And that's the only thing that matters." Irene reaches over, squeezes her hand. "Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act despite the fear." Torres looks at William's photograph on the garden table. "He would have been proud of you." Irene's eyes glisten briefly, old grief that never quite heals. "He would have been proud of us both." 1 month later, the governor signs an executive order on the Capitol steps. Mandatory independent body cam review for all state police. Civilian oversight boards with genuine authority. Comprehensive whistleblower protections. And new legislation advancing through the state legislature. They're calling it Irene's Law. Justice Patterson attends the signing ceremony, shakes hands, accepts congratulations, but she doesn't linger. Saturday morning, Jefferson Memorial Park. The same bench, the same worn spot, the same faded cardigan she refuses to replace. She sits down slowly, traces the brass plaque with gentle fingers. For William Patterson, who believed in justice. The pigeons return, gathering at her feet. She tears bread from a paper bag, watches them eat, feels the morning sun warming her face. A young black girl walks past with her mother, maybe 8 years old, bright-eyed, curious. She recognizes Irene from television. Her small face lights up. She waves shyly. Irene waves back, smiles. The girl keeps glancing over her shoulder as they walk away. Something new shining in her eyes. Hope. Possibility. The sudden knowledge that someone who looks like her can sit on the highest court in the state, can change laws, can bring down corrupt men, can matter. A seed planted in fertile soil. A future reshaped. Irene turns back to the plaque, traces William's name one final time. "We did it, Will," she whispers. "It's not over. It's never over. But we started something today that will outlive us both." The pigeons coo softly. The sun climbs higher. The park fills with families and joggers and children's laughter. Life continues, as it always does, as it must. Because justice isn't a destination you reach and stop walking. It's a journey you take one step at a time, one choice at a time, one brave soul at a time. Today, that journey continued here, on this bench, in this park, and it will keep going. Long after the headlines fade, long after the cameras move on to the next story. Because that's what justice does. It endures.